Go ahead.
I believe that you're being honest with how you feel,
Okay.
and I understand, but your comparisons are not exactly the same as my situation
Tell me how my comparisons are off.
because it's not the same thing.
How?
It's really not the same thing. I'm not a bank. I'm not a state. And you're saying he's putting his money and then he's ready to work. And I manage and clean and maintain our house and give my time and manage the business with him at the same time. Our efforts are not the same. He puts in the money, yes, but my effort is greater. And that makes up for the money that he's putting in. It's
Okay,
not
so you
exactly.
put in 51% of the profit of the work. He puts in 49%. Is that what you're saying?
Another thing that people know is that the business, I
Hmm.
didn't ask for my share of the profit. And I haven't for the entirety of the relationship. I haven't.
Who paid the bills in the house?
He does. He does. And because I understand, I don't want people to see me as someone who always just complains and is being unfair. I try to give him what I could give, the effort, the time, and everything. And on top of that, I didn't really ask for the profit, even though we were both working, and I was actually working more in the business. And
Ma'am, I had a question. You said he paid for all the bills in the house, right?
yeah,
What did you pay for?
well, occasional dinners and dates and stuff like that.
Occasional dinners. So if the business made $100,000 a year and the bills in the house were $20,000 a year, that's 20% of the money the business makes, right? How much do you think your occasional dinners and dates was?
Maybe a quarter of that.
So $5,000. And then if he had to pay expenses for a business, usually expenses on a business is 50%, right? So that's $50,000. He invested his money into the business. He's not getting any return on his money.
He is.
I
We're
mean, what
starting.
return is he getting? Sure. It's okay. Hey, listen. This is how I put it this way, right? This is just you and I talking. No one is watching. This is just us, right? Um, the reason I like this is well, I love to do this. I love to do this, right? But not only do I like to do this, I also find it intriguing because in a lot of ways people miss something, and this is what people miss. People miss the fact that sometimes what you want is already been given to you. And when
Mm.
what you want has been given to you, a lot of us now go back and say, I want this. I want this. Not knowing they've always had it. Let me give you an example. So it's public knowledge. My mother, I was raised by a single mother. Okay. My mother never married my father. My mother always had an expectation of the kind of man she wanted. And she
Mm.
died in 2019 without ever having any man in her life.
Mm.
The reason is because my mom always had expectation of a certain type of man,
Yeah.
right? And unfortunately, that man does not exist. My mom and I had this conversation when she was 70 years old. And I said, what? I said, Mom, I think you should find someone. She says, if he doesn't make $1 million a year, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And I said, Mom, I'm sorry, you are delusional. And I'm not saying that to you. What I'm saying is, I asked you, I said, what does this guy get? A guy who is in the 1%, right? He's in the 1%. He doesn't get to sleep with other women, right?
Mm.
He gets restrictions from you. he not only does he not get restrictions from you, he doesn't get to sleep with other women. He also gets no patience, so he's now probably walking on eggshells. And then, if that guy happens to ignore all those things that you would not deal with, and in the process of the conversation and process of getting to know you, he says, I don't care that she's not concerned with if I don't care that she's not patient with me. I can deal with the woman who nags at me all the time. I don't care if, she resents me for doing her part in a relationship, because his part is to bring the finance. Now, it would be different if you said, hey, we need $100,000 to run a business. He brought $50,000. I brought $50,000. We both brought $100,000 to the table, and I expect work from both of us. That's not what you said. You said he brought the money, I brought the work. But then I resent him for making me do the work and not paying me anything for it.
No, I didn't resent him. I just said, because you asked me, I did all the work. I didn't resent him, and I didn't say I resent him for
You don't have to say you resent him. Your actions said that, man.
No.
You don't have to say that. If you get frustrated with the smallest things, the things you told me that he did, anyone will be lucky to have a man who did those things, and that was his bad part.
No, that is not right. What I resented him for, because all of those things that I did for him, I did it, and I was happy doing those. And I was never resentful for things that I did, but I resented things that he did that I asked him.
What were those things? You said the things he did were physical advances.
Yes.
Which is his way of showing affection. That's
what he did. And I know affection. And he has shown affection, which I appreciate. Because the thing is, you're not in our house.
I understand. I understand. I'm not saying I know what happened behind closed doors, right? What I'm saying is
that you're saying. That is what you have been doing for I don't know, 30 minutes.
Not at all. No. Man, I can't even lie. That was one crazy show. So I didn't expect this one. To be honest with you guys, like this one kind of took me by surprise. First, I mean, maybe you guys can tell me if I'm crazy or not, but first of all, I asked this lady when we first got on, I said, what is it that she's looking for in a man? And she said she's looking for financial and understanding. And then I tried to see if she understood men, and she practically just lost it. I mean, what drove me nuts about this specific one is this. I don't think a lot of you caught this. This woman met a man who was 55 years old. When she met him 3 years ago, he was 52. This guy proceeds to come from whatever country he came from to Thailand, which is where she lived, to be with her. 55 years old. What a lot of you are not thinking about is most men or women retire at 50, 55 years old. That's the typical retirement age. Yes, I understand the United States is 62 and a half or 70 or some crazy number like that. But in most countries, people are retiring at 55. If somebody starts working at a job, if he started working in a jewelry mine, I'll presume he started that job at 2021. That's 30 years of service. He got a nice pension package, got himself on a plane, and thought he was going to his dream destination to be with his dream woman, only for him to get there to experience the worst headache any man can ask for. First, this guy shows up and he's met with crazy CC. That CC really should stand for crazy twice, because he shows up and then she is Mrs. Impatient, meaning everything this guy does, she's irritated by it. Imagine leaving the house like that. That's not even the crazy part. If you guys caught this, I said, who pays all the bills in the house? She said he does. So this guy is paying all the bills in the house, right? Step one, paying all the bills in the house. Step two is gives her her own money from his pocket, invests his money into her business that she wanted them to run together, a bar business or whatever the hell she called it, right? So his own money. She didn't invest any of her money. I asked her that question. She said he brought the money, not her. He did. And she was going to do the work. She hated him for doing his part and her doing her part, which is do the work. That's why I asked the question. I said, if you go to the bank and you ask the bank for money to construct an apartment complex, and then you turn around and get upset that the bank did not come down to the freaking land that you're building the apartment and dig and shovel the freaking ground with you. And she's like, oh, you can't compare me to a bank. The nerve on that useless piece of shit. I'm sorry. This broad pissed me off so bad. I can't even believe it. I'm so mad for this guy. This man is 55 years old. He worked for 30 plus years and saved all his money for some useless fuck to show up and to use that money for some business that she thought that she deserves, treat him like crap, get mad because he's 55 and he can't go to the gym 6 days a week with her because he's trying to start a new business, and get mad that she has to do her own work, her part in the relationship. This man pays all the bills in her house, and the least she can do is clean the freaking place that she lives. And she's upset that she has to do that too. Guys, how are you guys supposed to win? It's a question. How are you men supposed to win, man? How do you think you're supposed to have a life if you're going to take your money, you're going to take care of somebody else, you're going to pay all this person's bills, you're going to give them everything that they want, and then not only that, that person is going to nag your soul every single day. That person is going to take your money and start a business that she doesn't even know anything about or even have any desire to do anything with the business. That person is not going to break up with you and then expect to be the one to still run the business. And then, oh, by the way, remember, you have no idea about the way this business started or how the business works because she's been the one doing all the work. So if for any reason you decide that you don't want her running that business, guess what happens to your money? Bye. Your money is gone because now she's taking that money that you were supposed to work very hard for and use for your retirement. She takes that stuff, she throws it down the garbage, and she looks for the next guy on the internet and expects him to come there and be her fucking savior. That's what you guys just heard. And that's what you guys are going to be okay dealing with. So you know what? It's your fault if you continue to let this happen. Folks, what else do you need to see? These are the type of people you need to avoid because there are women out there that are good, that are kind-hearted, that are comfortable with showing you the respect and the love that you deserve. Passport boys, I'm going to talk to you guys for a second. A lot of you passport boys say you get your passports and go overseas. This chick is overseas. This is an overseas broad right here. It's not any better out there. Because this is an overseas broad who wants a man making 10 grand a month and wants that man making 10 grand a month to not screw anybody, but she ain't going to give you some when she doesn't want to. Because it's her right, and I agree it is her right, but she's not even going to let you touch her. She doesn't want you to touch other women, by the way. She wants you to spend your retirement age trying to go ahead and spend all that money on her, and you get nothing for it. Instead, she uses you, dries you up, spits you out, and looks for the next victim. Passport boys, be careful. So I understand a lot of times you compare, yes, you are going to get a much more attractive woman than you would overseas, than you would in the United States. Naturally, a lot of American women are very obese. They don't take care of themselves. They have double chins. They look the way they look for a reason. So naturally, you're going to find much more attractive women overseas. But you ain't going to find any better mindset women overseas because they're going to give you the same thing these women here are giving you. Be warned, man. My admin says I got to do this, so I'm going to do this. Don't forget to hit the like button, the share, subscribe. Check us out on IG. Check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. Hit the like button and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.